Okay, hello, and this is lesson 1 on ratio and proportion. So you will need your chapter 10 booklet on ratio and proportion, which either your teacher will have sent you or you hopefully sent you via email or has sent you through the post. Okay. So, Chapter 10, Booklet, Ratio and Proportion, Lesson 1. Please put the title in your book, set out your work as you would in a lesson, so you've got a record of all your important notes. So the title, Converting Fractions to Percentages. Okay, so what is a percentage? Well, percentage means out of 100. Okay, so we know that percentage means out of 100. So what we're going to look at, and we have done this before, this is just a recap, okay? We're going to look at changing fractions, for example, 20 out of 100 to a percentage. Well, we all know that 20 out of 100, because it's out of 100, this just means 20%. For example, if you did a test and there were 100 marks available and you got 20 right, you would have scored 20% on that test. Okay, if you only got 4 of the questions right and there were 100 questions, you would have got 4% correct. Now, this one is out of 50, okay? So, because it's not out of 100, we can't change it straight to a percentage. We have to, first of all, change this fraction to an equivalent fraction out of 100. So we know for equivalent fractions, whatever we multiply the bottom by, 50 times 2 is 100, we have to times the top by. 5 times 2 is 10. So 10 out of 100 is the same as 10%. Okay, and the next one, 3 out of 10. Okay, we need to change it out of 100, equivalent fractions. Whatever we times the denominator by, we times the numerator by the same amount. So 10 times what is 100? Well, 10 times 10 is 100. So we times the numerator by the same amount. 3 times 10 is 30. So 30%. And I want you to be copying these examples as we're going along. So you've got them in your books, or you've got paper, or you've got a new book and you're keeping it all together at home. Right, next, let's look at question 5. Okay, so again, we want to make it out of 100. What do we times 20 by to get to 100? Well, 20 times 5. So we times the top by 5 to get 35. So it's 35%. Last example. How many 25s go into 100? It's 4. So we multiply the top by 4. So we get 4 out of 100, which is 4%. So that's the last example, and I want you to write these important key facts down. These ones here, bubble it in your book, okay? Pause the video and bubble it, okay? So these key facts, basically multiples to make 100. Right, so next. I'm going to ask you to pause the video now. I want you to have a go, please, at these 5 questions here. I'd like you to pause and change each of these fractions to percentages. Use the key facts that you've just written down to help you to work out what you times the denominator by to get it out of 100. Okay, so you've had a good go at that. Let's just go through the answers. Well, this is out of 100, so it's 7. Okay, so I'm going to change it out of 100, so times top and bottom by 2, so I get 24%. times top and bottom by 10, so I get 80%. Times top and bottom by 5, so I get 45%. Times top and bottom by 4, so I get 12%. And I love seeing your work on this and you marking it and you correcting it. I really like that when you send me your work at the end. Right, next. You might have some questions like this. Decide which of these is bigger. So we've got a fraction and we've got a percentage. So we have to change them into the same format. Well, I can change 10 out of 100 into 10%. So now it's easy for me to decide which is bigger. I can see that 10% or 10 out of 100 is bigger. Okay, which of these two is bigger? Well, I'm going to change this 4 out of 20 to be out of 100. So times top and bottom by 5. So I can see it's 20%. So therefore this one is bigger. Okay, change this to be out of 100. So I would get 2 out of 10 times top and bottom by 10. I will get 20%. 20%, and this one is obviously bigger. Okay, 3 out of 50 or 3%. Which one is bigger? So 3 out of 50, change it to be out of 100. So times top and bottom by 2. So that's 6%. So this one is bigger. The last one, 10 out of 25 or 45%. So change the fraction to a percentage times top and bottom by 4. So I get 40%. So they are the same. So both of those, this is 40% and this is 40%. So they are the same. Okay, so you should have those examples. Well, just choose one of those examples to put into your book when you're comparing fractions and percentages. Okay. Now, next question. You may be asked which of these are bigger than 100%. You can have more than 100%. Okay. So let's think about 100%. Well, 10 out of 10, if I change that to be out of 100, times top and bottom by 10, so 100 out of 100 is 100%. So that is 100%. So it's not bigger, it is the 100%. Okay, what about this one, B? Well, I've got 101 out of 100. So this is 101%. So that is bigger than 100%. Okay, 40 out of 50. Okay, well if I change that to be out of 100, I times top and bottom by 2, so I get 80%. So this is smaller than 100%. This one here, 22 out of 20, if I change it to be out of 100, times top and bottom by 5, 22 times 5 is 110, so I've got 110%, so this is bigger than 100%. And the last one, if I change it to be out of 100, times top and bottom by 4, so I get exactly the same, 100%. So it is 100%. So if we look at these 4 fractions, we notice that if the numerator is bigger than the denominator, so for this one and this one, if the numerator is bigger than the denominator, we know it's bigger than 100%. If they are the same, for example, these two, well then we know it is exactly 100%. Okay. Right, so using those key facts, I want you to change each of these questions into a percentage. Okay? So change each of these into a percentage. So pause and have a go at changing each into a percentage. Okay, so well done. So the first is 105%. The second is 70% because they're already out of 100. These next three, we have to turn them all to be out of 100 using the key facts that I got you to write down here. Okay, so we're using these key facts. So 20 times 5 is 100, so times top and bottom by 5. So I'm going to have 125 here. So this is bigger than 100% because the denominator is smaller than the numerator. Okay, so 50, what's my key fact? 50 times 2, so times the top by 2. So I get 120%. Times top and bottom by 10, so I get 700%. I know it's weird thinking that a percentage can be more than 100%, but that is possible. Right, so what I would like you to do, that's the end of my teaching for today. I would like you now to turn to page 10, so go to booklet 10, so this booklet here, and turn to page 2, so this page here, converting fractions to percentages. Okay, so you're going to go to this page here. Exercise 10A, okay, is the work you're going to be doing. So exercise 10A, there's 14 questions. This is your compulsory work. If you haven't got the booklet, please let me know and I will post it to you. This is compulsory work, okay? Optional work, some extra work, is exercise 10B, questions 1 and 2. I look forward to seeing all your lovely work. Have a nice day.